What were you saying? Lunar949.
Well, I probably I've put the least amount of money into my plugins than any artist. It is Logic Pro bass plugins. My mixer hates me. He does not like that. But yeah, it's just kind of bare minimum. Like it's just Logic Pro. And I don't know, like I'm getting ready to get like more plugins and kind of tune in the sound.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's because like I wanted to see like some numbers like before I kind of like dove into it. Like,
well, that's interesting.
Because otherwise, like it as long as I could make stuff that I liked, I was cool with it.
Yeah.
Because when we first started doing the music, like it was literally just put it out, like it's for us, our friends, and see how it goes. So, and it's been like that for 3 years. So I still haven't put money into it. We're getting close. So I have a few plugins now. So I'm inching my way into
Are the
it.
Logic stock plugins and like other DAW stock plugins, are they like passable? Because I'm not in the world of I'm not in my plugin pocket.
Yeah,
that's a bar. But like
That is.
my comparison would be like cameras, right? It's like I think a lot of people spend a lot of money on a lot of camera equipment that's very unnecessary. You walked in here and said I had too many tripods, and then looked directly.
You got
at the
way
tripod.
too many.
Well, but
don't act like you're not spending money with this. I've seen like 100 cameras so far.
These are three Sony A6400s with the stock lenses. This is for what this does, it's like one of the cheaper pieces of equipment you can buy. And then all these mics are Sterling SP150s.
You don't even have it facing you. I could control
this
whole
is
thing right
I
here.
think
this
this
is facing
you know
me.
what's crazy? I think this is the first interview I've ever not had it facing me.
Really?
I actually think this is the only
Are you
time
usually
I've ever
here?
done that. No, I'm always here.
But it's faced this way?
Yeah, but it's facing this way because I used
Interesting.
it last night or a couple days ago for a live session. And I usually, when I bring it back in the studio, you know, I move it. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, it's that way. It's never been that way.
I feel very in control. Like if you start going down the wrong path.
You're like,
but yeah, which one's your track? Yeah, there you go, exactly.
You're like, oh,
Exactly.
wait, I don't like what you're
no,
saying.
no.
Yeah, but this, I mean, yeah, this wasn't that expensive. The only reason I have so many tripods is because tripods break like a ton. Yeah, they're bad. Well, they break a ton if your budget like me and you don't put a lot of money into like good ones. So if you're buying like $70, $80 Amazon basic tripods, like of course they're gonna break. But then I just rebuy them because I never have enough money to put like $100, $200 into a tripod.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
The same way with pretty much any equipment. But the quality does show. If you do get like the expensive stuff and even like just kind of audio equipment, like you get what you pay for.
Yeah. What about your hardware? Like what kind of like mics and stuff do you record with? Is it all as bare bones as the plugins?
It's pretty bare bones. I think I got a relatively good microphone. I just switched over. Like I don't even know the microphone. I think it's an Audio Technica. But the first one that I was recording on was like a Rode CT-1A, and I'm not the guy to ask about any of this stuff. Like I seriously just get what works. I plug it in, and like as long as I'm able to get out what I had in my head to be able to go, like run it. And then like I have my bass mix. Like I'm good enough mixing to where I can mix myself in Logic and kind of get like a good demo like ready to go. And
then you bring that to another producer or
then,
another master
well,
or
yeah,
mixer
like
engineer?
I'm at the spot. Like we've had to work to get here, but like my network is just like super cool. Like I got a mixer that I'm like super close with and like work with. I have a producer now that like if I like a beat, like I can send him the tracks and he'll like go nuts on it and like kind of recreate it. And all that kind of just happened in like the past 4 months where like I have people like they want to work with me. Like I don't, you know, like they are reaching out because they want to help out, and it's like it's just genuinely, and that's kind of like the core of people that we have over there. Like everyone just really likes the music and like just wants to help, and it's like the mixer wants to get better at mixing, so he's down to mix like whenever and get going, and then the producer is just nuts. But yeah, my community is very strange. It's a little tight circle that makes the music. It's all online. So like my mixer,
yeah, I could have guessed that.
Me and him mix like through Discord. Like we just hop in and he's mixing, and we've never met, me and my mixer.
Wow.
And he lives in Aliso, like by where I live.
Okay.
Like I think we're like 10 minutes away from each other. We've never met yet.
Really?
Yeah, and we've been like mixing together for like 2.5 years, and we haven't linked up. Like it's very much just because we're both busy. Like he grinds, like he's working and doing the music, and I'm working and doing the music. So we just tap in and chat with each other when we're mixing. Like that's what we like to do.
There were two thoughts I had from the things you just said. One thing that really interested me was when you said, you said when I started to be able to like make what I was hearing in my head. I think that is like the best feeling in the world. And for me, I feel like what that is like when you begin to stop battling software, like when you're controlling it instead of it controlling you. Like I remember when I got to that point in Premiere. Like I remember when like at first I was like, you know, trying to figure out how to create the things that were in my head. Yeah. And then it got to the point where it's like instead of it being like a canvas with a bunch of like black lines I had to connect, it was a blank canvas and I could make whatever I wanted with it, you know?
And that's interesting because I feel like that might be what is like scary to me, like for advancing and like getting this new gear and new plugins, like because I'm not sure, like I've gotten it to a cool spot where like I can get it, what was in my head, like out and then it's there. Like I'm almost, it might be because I'm like scared to add new stuff in, but realistically, like it's just gonna improve it. But like I think just creating any change to like the system that I made work, I think is like might be what's like holding me back from just kind of like getting new equipment and shit. But
I think that is like that's kind of a blessing and a curse, right? I had like
but that's silly. Like that's a stupid way to think, right? Like, you should put the money into it and like progress, especially when you are like seeing some success. Like
well, I think like there's a lot of bad that comes with like getting stuck in like whatever pocket you're in regardless. Like dude, like I you know, I'm sure Mario could tell you about this. I recently had this like 2-week like renaissance in the way that I'm thinking about like everything and you're like I don't know if that's the right word but this 2-week way of like thinking or I've been rethinking a lot of stuff recently, and I feel like one thing that was scaring me a lot is that like I felt like I was getting stuck in like a comfortable pocket. Like I can very easily do interviews now with you know, like you could put pretty much anybody in front of me and I think I can have a conversation with them now. It's like that, and you know, like the way we're making them, the production, everything that went into doing the interviews felt super fluid, and that's a good thing, of course. But it's like it got to a point where I think now I'm getting to a point where like it's a bit too streamlined and too simple and too easy to do and replicate, and it's like I don't want to feel like a machine. I want to feel like a creative. So it's like I've begun to try to think about more creative ways to like. One, inspire myself, and two, like rethink the things that we're doing in a way that makes more sense, both creatively and from like a marketing and business perspective. Because I feel like, dude, when you do the same thing for so long, like people are gonna get uninterested. Really,
you have
really
to keep
fast.
evolving. You have to keep evolving, especially for the people that like have tapped into you. And like you know, we're lucky enough to get listeners at all. Period. And it's like you have to keep evolving with them. Like they don't want to keep hearing the same shit. So it's interesting, like your mind frame that you have now, like it is kind of the mind frame that I'm getting into where it's like I'm like, okay, like I made what I wanted to make and like it's going like the way I want it to go. Like it's time to evolve. And we're doing it. Like I didn't do it so much with the equipment, but like just kind of the way that we make songs and just kind of our team got bigger. So it's like that's where I cared about more the evolution of it, and so the music is sounding cooler, like, and that's what I'm happy about, and like the network is good. So now it's 2 equipment. You
said that the mixer you work with is mostly online. Or are the producers that you work with, are most of them like online relationships as well?
Well, my favorite producer, Phase Shift. Shout out Phase Shift. Another dude
Phase Shift.
I have not met. He's in the UK.
Wow. Okay.
So he's just a guy. I don't even fucking curse words.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Say whatever you want.
All right, got you. I don't know how I met him. I think I just found his beats on like BeatStars, because that's where I was like kind of finding my music. Like I like the beats. Like my favorite part of the music is just kind of writing and like just the vocals. So and just kind of like getting the ideas out. So I would be on BeatStars. So I think I just found him on BeatStars. And we just kind of started tapping in with each other, and he's just a super good guy. And now he's just like, he's insane and just knows how to make the stuff that I want. We've just kind of curated a relationship where he knows what I like. Like he knows, like, and he'll send me like 3 different passes of like the same beat that he's going. And he's just like, listen, I like this one, but I know you're going to pick this one. So he's just like, you're going to pick this one, but like listen closely to this one. And
I love that.
Yeah,
That's
and
so
it's
cool.
just, it is crazy that I haven't met them, and it's like we'll chat on, you know, on the phone or whatever, and just kind of however we need to. And I think it's just cool. Like you can do it with whoever
Yeah.
you need. Like you can find around. Like you just kind of got to find the right people to tap into. And yeah, I certainly didn't think that like the people that I would work with would be just kind of all online, but it's just kind of how it happened. And
It's
once you
kind
have
of
a good thing, you got to let it go.
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of the way you navigate like the new industry too. I feel like it's so interesting to me that like there can be artists that are like very much curated like entirely online, and their presence is like super like uber online. And it's interesting too, like we were talking about earlier, how there is kind of like this. I hate genre labels, but there is kind of like this hyper pop, like
Don't
scene.
do that. I'm hyper pop.
Do you not dislike labels?
No, yeah, there shouldn't be labels on.
Okay, no, well, I was gonna say that's interesting
Yeah.
because I feel like most artists don't like being labeled.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I was saying like I feel like there is like this this kind of like more like electronic pop, hyper pop wave that is coming out of Orange County right now with people like you. And we were talking about Illusion Hills earlier and Bray and a lot of artists like that who are like in that area as well. And it's been really cool to see. And I feel like that is a genre that like so much has like been bred from online. I had a really interesting.
It's all online.
It's all online, dude.
Yeah.
I had a really interesting conversation with my friend Curtis a couple weeks ago. Shout out Curtis. And we were talking. Shout out Curtis. And we were talking about we were on the way home from somewhere and we were listening to Owl City. And me and him both like loved Owl City as kids. And we were like bonding over the fact that we both like loved Owl City when we were younger. And he said something that really stuck with me. He was like, dude, Owl City was just hyperpop before hyperpop existed.
They were. Fireflies
like,
is a hyperpop song.
Crazy, bro. Like Deer in the Headlights is a hyperpop song.
Yeah. Oh,
it was crazy, but it made me think. It's like, you know, his whole community, and I feel like his like whole fan base was really online as well. And it's just like, I think it's like one of the first instances where we've really seen like a genre be born out of the internet. Like hyperpop feels so online to me in the most interesting way.
And it's not a bad thing. Like it's beautiful. Like there are so many downsides to technology and like just kind of being so focused on it, but there's so many cool things about it. Like there's no way I should be tapped into FaZe in the UK.
Yeah.
There's no reason I should be, but like the connection has got me there, and like there's no way I should be able to mix with my mixer like 4 times in a week with the situation that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Because it's online, like we can just tap in and go, and like so it's a beautiful thing. And just like relationships online, like it's very cool that we're able to do it. And it is all fresh, so there are like you do have to figure out how to navigate online, and just kind of there's pros and cons to it, but a lot of pros.
Yeah.
A lot of pros.
Did you meet your management like in that kind of same relationship curating way, like online and stuff?
No, my management is Colt. Like like so he.
Oh, so you guys didn't? I thought you were saying you guys met online.
No, we met in person. I'm like we're cool. Like we're friends now. Like we hang out all the time.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He's one of my very very close friends. So the person that introduced my music to him, he was not an online friend. Like I played basketball with him, and so I knew him already. And Colton, I didn't know who the fuck he was. Like I had no clue who he was. And yeah, like my album got sent to me, which was like an album that I made in quarantine. Like no one knew that I was doing music. Like no one knew. Like we were just kind of shut down, and I just kind of bought all these beat licenses and like just made an album. Like the first thing that I released was like an album. And I released it to just like my regular Instagram followers. They're like, they had no clue like what it was. And so he heard that album and just liked it. And then we started shooting videos, and we've just been close ever since. Just because we have like the same vision on just where we want to go. Like, because there's not a lot of it in where we are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's so cool like what he's built like from kind of where you guys are.
Yeah.
I feel like he is very much one of those like curators who is like very much a tastemaker in the new world because they're so online.
Yeah,
like it's very interesting to me. I feel like people like him are like the next wave of like the bloggers that we saw in like the early 2010s and like right before the SoundCloud era that really had influence.
Yeah.
It's like tastemakers like that are kind of doing a lot of the similar stuff that he's doing. I feel like, and there's all kinds of examples of people like this, like Max Motley's another really example of this.
Yeah.
Like people in that kind of vein who are just curating and just taking whatever they like and whatever like artists they find who have like no following and just putting a ton of people onto them.
Yeah.
Those are like the next tastemakers that I think are going to be like the influential like A&Rs or like whatever the new version of an A&R is in 10 years,
and
you know?
already are. Like,
yeah.
And the beautiful thing about it is like you now instantly, and so instead of like editorial playlists, which was kind of like the last way that people would kind of like find music that like they listen to, but they want to find new things, like they would go to editorials. But it's like now with just kind of the influencers, like you have a face to it. Like you have a face that you can trust and like connect with. And like even with you, like your listeners know you and like trust like what you're going to say. So it's like, it just makes music selection just like kind of so much more intimate. And it's like, I think that's why it's blown up.
I think that's a good word. It's like intimate because it feels like, you know, like I found this song, I want to share it with you. Yeah. And it's very much like a mutual understanding of like, I love music, you love music, let's share this. And I think there's something really, really beautiful about that. And I think like in a world where you have those tastemakers that have more influence than ever, it's really important for artists to tap into that, because I think like that's a great way as an artist to kind of put a face and a personality like to your music. You know, like somebody like Colt who like is like doing videos with like other people, and like he's doing like not only his music videos, but he's also like shooting you know, like his normal content that he does. It's really cool to see how he's like putting there's the song and then there's like the face, and he's kind of going more into the depth of the story of it, you know?
Yeah. It's so funny because it's like you say like his normal content, like
that's like a newer thing, right?
It's a brand new thing. Like he just started doing that.
See, that's like
before he was behind the camera. Like, when I knew him, like we were doing music videos and he was like directing our stuff, and he was behind it. And like just now in like the past few months, like that, just how he's blown up, just like that is what he does now. Like, and
that's like what I know him from. Yeah,
it's awesome. That's what everyone knows him from. Like he gets recognized when we go out, and it's just so funny. Like it just happened out of nowhere. Like he didn't expect it. And I think we all expected it because he's been grinding for a minute. He's just one of those guys. So it was going to happen sooner or later. And it happened, yeah.
Being able to work with a manager like him, does that help a lot with like connections and getting in sessions with people that like you want to work with and stuff? Like, does that kind of help out he's in that world? Because I think like it's interesting when you have like a manager that comes from like either a label or like a management agency. I think it's very easy for artists and other managers to not want to trust them. But when you come from somebody like him who's like very obviously so invested in like the taste making aspect of it, I would think that like people are more likely to trust him.
Yes, and they do. And it's like his connections to artists are like, because the artists love him. Like the artists, when they get put on like his playlist does so well. Like it has so many organic listeners. Like he's tapped in with artists. I won't name drop, but he helped a release with an artist who is already big, and kind of helped the rollout for it. And they were laughing because his playlist was doing more numbers than like the editorials he got played on.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, Colt's playlist is literally doing more.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it does kind of, it does help build a bridge between us and other artists. Even though we haven't done too much of that, just because it's like, I already know everyone in the music scene, like kind of down by us. So we're all excited to work with each other. And we're all super interested in just kind of helping each other out. And I think that's a really cool thing. And so, yeah, we're just kind of about our business and just kind of are focused on ourselves, just because ourselves is kind of all we have around us right now. And I think just kind of all the artists in that area, it's like we're now kind of venturing out and kind of like making our connections outward, and slowly growing. And I think slowly is the key word. Like no one is going too crazy fast, and everyone just really cares about the music and is just kind of being quiet. Like Illusion Hills, like you haven't heard much from them, like, but they are working like on their music, like, you know. So it's just kind of step by step stuff. But yeah, we're just kind of around with each other right now, and that's kind of like, at least me, I only look at kind of the artists that are around. Like I like tapping in with them and just kind of seeing what they're doing. And it's like, it gets me excited when they do well, and like just kind of how they're moving. Like I don't look too much at like outside artists where I'm like, oh, Colton, like go get me him and like, let's do a collab. Like that hasn't happened too much yet. but certainly could.
Do you think kind of being in that world and like, you know, that kind of like Orange County sphere where it's like a lot of the people around you that you're, you know, a lot of artists that you're fans of are like around you because you say you're kind of tapping in locally like that. Does that kind of push you to collaborate more? Like, do you, when you make a song or like you write something or like, oh, this person would sound good on this person would sound good on this? Because I know a lot of the stuff you have out right now does have features on it.
Mm-hmm.
When you like approach an artist for a feature, is it usually with the song that's already finished and you're like, I want to get you on this? Or does it kind of, you guys work collaboratively and write a track? Or how does that kind of process usually take shape?
That's a super interesting question. For my stuff, I usually the collabs that I've done like with Bray, like I've had the beat and hook is already there. It's just like plug and play. Like I got it. Here's the song. Here's your open slot. There it is. Like let's see what you do. I haven't had too many like studio sessions. Like I've been in a few sessions with like a few other guys, but as far as like handcrafting a song with those guys, I haven't done it yet. Like we're going to, and I'm excited to do it, but like. Everyone's busy. Everyone's just kind of curating their own stuff. Like it's a super busy period in every single one of our like journeys right now. Like everyone's super tapped into what they want to be doing. And yeah, just the collaborations, it's like they happen and it's like you want to help each other out. Like, so I will hear a song and I'm like, oh, Bray is going to sound crazy on this.
Yeah.
Or like Sheer is going to sound crazy on this. Or like I could hear, you know, MJ on this. Like, I listen for those people around me first, I guess, if that's what you're asking. Like, I do try and hear sounds for them, before any other artist. Just because I feel like I don't have the access to, like, any other artist. Like, I want to be around in the circle that we're at.
Yeah, of course, and that's kind of a beautiful thing. I think, like, another really cool thing that comes out of like music scenes like that or like circles is like the place where you get to watch each other grow and you grow at like similar places.
Yeah.
And it's so, dude, the concept of music scenes is like so interesting to me because I think about like, for example, there was definitely like a music scene that like I think I was in when I was like growing up in the Bay Area, and it's like a lot of those bands are like no longer there and they live in other places and they've kind of gone on to like do other things, but it's
just like you guys.
Yeah, man, just like us. Fake, bro. Yeah. No, but it's interesting because it's like you see that happen, and then it's like the kids who were at those shows and like fans of those artists are now the new bands that are like in that scene,
and they are that wave.
And it's so cool to me how that kind of takes shape because it like allows like the influence that like the older people have had and the people who have like, you know, kind of been successful in that field, it kind of passes down and they kind of get to like usher in this new wave of people that like keep this community alive in certain places.
Yeah. But you get that, and there's cities that kind of have that like passed down culture where it's like the culture's been there and it'll, you know, shape shift into something else. And it's like, yeah, the Bay Area has it. It's like LA has it, New York, obviously, like Tennessee, Atlanta, like they kind of all have that. Or like Orange County doesn't really have that. Like we're not going off anything, but like it is cool. Like you can kind of feel it and just kind of the people we have around it that like, and yeah, I don't know how it happened, but just like, the fact that there's like, you know, 7 different artists around there that are like, we're all trying to do something, it's created something. I don't know what the vibe is there or like what it is, but like we just all know that like we're working and they all make like super, super good music. Like I'm genuinely fans of like the people that are doing music in that area. So, but yeah, I don't think Orange County is as established as like a Bay Area or LA.
So when you were growing up, was there like any local acts you were looking to, or were you listening to music that was like entirely like nationally different?
No, it was all like there wasn't any local bands that like you would listen to. Like there was literally no one. The one person that kind of like came out of there is Aries. If you know who that is. And he went to like the same high school as Colton and Bray. Like so he was kind of the first one to do it. I didn't even know I didn't know he was from that high school. Like I kind of listened to his stuff and like obviously a huge fan of him. Like he's super good. But I found out like when I started working with Colton that like they were from the same high school. But other than that, like he's the first one to like actually like be successful from where we are. And I think so it wasn't so much for me, but like the other kids like that were from that same high school and like Colton, like I think they definitely looked at him and they were like, oh, like this can happen. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, so I think that was cool for them. I didn't really know him too much like when I was going through high school. But for sure, I think he's kind of the one guy that everyone around us and doing it right now, like, has seen make it out. Not make it out, but just, like, blow up.
Yeah.
And just kind of do well in the industry.
I do think that is a very necessary thing, like, somebody to look to that kind of, like, shows you that what you're trying to do is possible, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I never felt like when I was, like, kind of, like, you know, getting into the music scene in the Bay Area, like, there wasn't very many people that, like, I could look to that were doing a similar thing to me, which was always kind of, like, a bit of, like, a challenge, because it was, like, what do I look to? Like, how do I, you know, you always want proof, right? But it's, like, my proof definitely, like, when I was, like, kind of in the Bay Area and doing my thing was, like, other places, like, people, like, that were doing similar things to me, like, in other places, like, you know, starting media companies in, like, other states, or, like, even in, like, you know, places that are, like, all the way on the East Coast and stuff. But it's, like, I think having, like, somebody kind of usher that way and, like, show you that what you're trying to do is, like, possible is, like, super, like, necessary.
I agree. And once again, online, like, you were able to tap in and be like, okay, like, he may not be from where I am, but, like, I can see, like, over here, he's doing it and it's working. So, yeah, I think it's super important. I think with anything in life, like, if you see someone do it, like, it's so much more helpful than to just kind of try and make your, you know, just figure it out on your own and keep going. Like, it's always nice to have a mentor or something, or, just an image to go off of.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Was there a point, like, when you were in Orange County, like, kind of, so you said you started during COVID, right?
Yeah.
What was, like, was there, like, a pushing off point where you were like, I really want to do this? Like, what kind of took you from, like, in your bedroom making music during COVID to, like, really want to take this serious as a career? Was it something that you wanted to do for a long time that you just kind of never had the time to do, or, like, was COVID the push?
COVID was the start. Like, it was not a thing before that. And then I just kind of got locked into my room. It's kind of almost difficult to speak about because it's a blur.
Yeah.
That whole time period is like, I can't even really think back on it. But made the album. Like, I've always loved music. Like, and I've always kind of, you know, I've freestyled and stuff like that. So it's like, I knew that, like, I could do it. I didn't know I would be able to, like, just pull an album out of my ass and like, just do it. Like, I didn't know that was going to happen. But I think it was just something like that distracted me during the boredom. And it's like, it was just a creative process that I really, really enjoyed. And then it all of a sudden was something. And yeah, as far as like the switch of when like we kind of started taking it serious, I think it might have just like, I don't know when that happened. Like, it's hard to like have a defining moment of just kind of when it happened, because even before Colton blew up, like, we were hustling, like, that we knew that we wanted to do this. And I think the biggest factor for me that, like, because you can release music and it do like okay or not at all, and then you just fade away from it.
Yeah.
Like, that happens all the time. Like, have you heard the stat that like if you have like 500 monthly listeners on Spotify, like, you're doing better than like 90% of like artists on Spotify? Like, it's something crazy like that. I don't know the stat.
That actually makes sense. Yeah.
Jamie, can you pull that up?
Oh God.
Dude, that's not Jamie. I thought every podcast had a Jamie.
Nah, bro.
So Jamie's a real person? I thought he was just an AI. Every podcast had.
Like a machine in the corner.
Yeah, like you could just say Jamie and then the facts would come.
It's like Siri.
Yeah, no, basically, yeah, that's what I thought it was. But so you can release it and like just have it fade away. Like, I think the most important thing is like having people around you to kind of like let you know like this is good. Like, if you have people kind of supporting it, like, it's oh baby. Wait, y'all aren't by the airport, are you?
No, they always drive up. Well, Burbank is where they're going always, but the Burbank airport. They always fly right over the house during interviews.
It's good houses fly over.
She's gone now. What were you saying?
But like, so you can fade away from like music that you put out, and it happens all the time. And it's like, even just from where I was, when I was releasing it, like, there were other artists that were releasing at the same time as me, and it's like, they're not releasing anymore.
Yeah.
And I think like the biggest thing that just kind of like kept me doing it was just the like the amount of people that liked it, and like just the close family members I have, like, just to kind of push it and like just keep going. Like, I think that's so important. Like, if I didn't have kind of the circle of friends that I had around me, like, just that were like, no, like, this is good, keep doing it. Like, I don't know. Like, I seriously don't know, like, if I would still be releasing at least. Like, I think I would still be making it, but, like, to actually release, because it's, like, it's a lot of effort.
Two different things, yeah.
To, like, to put it out and try and, like, make sure that it gets to people. But I think that's, like, the biggest factor is just kind of having people that truly believe in you. Like, I think that can be your superpower. Like, it's hard to do it by yourself. Like,
yeah.
I don't know anyone that, like, just has released music and it's just them and they just release it out.
And that's it.
And then it, like, just blows up out of nowhere. Like, you need to have people around you, like, that also believe in it and that you can kind of, like, share the same vision. Otherwise, like, it's super easy to get in your head and, like, just be like, oh, like, no, like, this isn't it, or I don't want to do this. That's how I feel anyway. And we had that. Like, we had a super cool network, and it all just kind of was happening at the same time. Like, Bray was releasing, like, when I was... Jortsy was releasing. Illusion Hills came out of nowhere. Illusion Hills came after I started releasing music, or I found out about them. I think they were releasing music, like, around the same time, but I found out about them, like, after we were kind of already solid, or at least pushing in a good direction. But yeah,
dude, I'm like thinking about that stat now. That actually makes a lot of sense, because think about, like, okay, how many people do you know that, like, want to make music but haven't? How many of those people do you think have made the Spotify accounts? And then how many of those people do you think of, like how many of those people do you think have, like, uploaded one song to DistroKid and then stopped?
A lot.
Like, a lot, dude. Like,
people.
a lot
of people.
That's a crazy stat.
And it's like, yeah, like, what is the difference maker, like, that kind of keeps people going? And I try and understand it too. Like, sometimes it's hard for me to understand that I'm doing it, because it's like...
But for you, was that network, you think? That was the difference maker for you?
Yeah, like, just to be able to see, like, okay, like, they're killing it. Like, they're not stopping. Like, Like, Braden's going. Like, I want to keep going. Like, let's keep doing this. And as soon as you see, like, the success of other people and, like, the streams go up, like... And naturally, like, I'm a competitive guy, too. Like, I love Bray, but, like... When he... when he was getting streams, I'm like, I want streams like that. Like, I want to keep going. And it's like, I feed off the competitive energy of it. And it's like, we're all friends and we're all homies, but, like, I love kind of trying to compete and be like, okay, like, let's do this. And we compete, but at the same time, we got, like, 2 songs out together. So it's like we linked up. But yeah, I think that's, like, the biggest factor is just kind of have people around you that, let you know, like, you should keep doing this. And it's like, I think I just kind of got to a point where I had so many people around me, like, just being genuinely just helpful. Like, I couldn't not keep doing it. Like, I've already gotten, like, so many just cool motivational pieces to just keep going, and being able to see the people around you going hard for it. Like, I think it's a pretty easy decision to keep going. The
thing is, too, I feel like the community not only, like, allows you to remember that it's possible, but it also just makes it more fun, dude. It's like, everything is so much more fun when you have people to do it with. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. You good, Jamie?
Like this guy, Mario. Like, I don't know if I've still, but that's kind of what I mean. It's like, whenever, like, I have kind of been, like, most into Above the Bridge stuff, it's when, like, I felt like I really just, like, there's a bunch of people around us that, like, really all give a fuck about this, and we're all really trying. And
well,
it's
your
just,
situation
like,
right now is crazy. Like, I love your guys' setup, and, like, just
Thanks,
the fact
man.
that you guys are, like, all here in the house, and, like, I don't see, like, there's no way it doesn't work out. Like, there's no way. Like, just when you have that kind of group of people around you that truly, like, it's helpful. Like, when you can kind of talk about what you see in your head, and like, just the game plan and the blueprints, like, look at all these damn whiteboards. Like, it's there. Like, it's in your heads, but it's like, now it's an actual, like, material thing. Like, it's right there. And I think when you have people around you to kind of bounce those ideas off of, like, the imaginary things become, like, real material. And I think that's crazy important. Not just in music, but just in life. Like, you need to find kind of just people that you trust and care about the same things that you do.
Has that been hard for you, like, in the industry as you've kind of, like, branched out a little bit? Like, because I know you're talking so much about, like, this network you have in Orange County. Is there ever a fear when you, like, you know, go to LA to talk to other people, or, like, people reach out to you? Is it difficult to, like, trust them because, like, you haven't put, like, a face to that name, you guys haven't worked already, and it's like you don't really know where they're coming from? Like, when you get approached for opportunities like that, how do you kind of look at that, and what's your mindset with it?
Well, to answer your question, if it's like difficult to trust, yeah. And I think it's hard. Like, you have to take it individually. Like, you can kind of feel the vibes from each individual person. Like, and I think that's just the best way to do it. It's like, you need to be able to navigate yourself. You also need to be able to not put yourself into positions where it's like you can get fucked over by something. Like, but for the most part, like, I think people are genuinely good. And it's like, I never go into an interaction like not trusting someone. Like, I think it's so much more important to be like open and like try and see the good in what someone is doing. And just like, I don't, even though like it might be difficult for me to like trust people like that, I definitely don't think people are coming out in any malicious way. Like, it just, it may not be right in the moment to link up or whatever, but for the most part, like, it's all good. But I think you do have to be careful, and this industry is definitely a crazy industry where you do kind of have to keep an eye out on just kind of who you're working with and what you want to work with and just kind of the direction you want to go. And it does make it harder because we do have so many cool people like just in the area that we do trust. Like, it but you never want to let that like box you in. Like, we certainly all want to venture out, and it's like all the other guys, they're also venturing out. Like, we're all kind of slowly like creeping out. But I think it's just super cool to have a base, and I think you can be more comfortable reaching out and exercising like different opportunities if you have a solid base. Like, if you feel alone, it's going to be harder to trust those opportunities. But like, if you already have a good base, like, everything you go try and interact with, like, it could all not go well, and you can still go back to like the people that you trust and like we're already doing well with.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool way to think about it. When I think about the music industry, like, in terms of like the way that people can, like, take advantage of people, whatever. Yeah. But it's the way I think about it is like, I think hurt people hurt, and I think a lot of hurt people are attracted to art.
And they're in music,
they're in music. I think like art is very obviously often like it's it's kind of an exploration of trauma. Very often, doesn't have to be, but a lot of the time, like, things you're going through become a lot more easier if you can make art out of them. Yeah. For that reason, I think a lot of hurt people are attracted to music, and I think hurt people hurt. Yeah. It's like an industry of broken souls in a weird way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be. Like, that can be a beautiful thing.
It is, and it's like, all the artists that I've interacted with, like, almost all of them, like, are just super genuine. Like,
same, man.
I think so. I haven't had too many problems. Like,
I could probably count on one hand the amount of like bad experiences I've had.
Same way. Yeah. Like, there have been a few, but not the majority.
No,
like,
it's
majority
very
are good
much
and super sick people, and it's like amazing to meet up and link up with like all these crazy talented people. That's what you do find when you branch out.
Hell yeah.
A lot of talent and a lot of creativity, and I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think like in places, I mean, that's one thing that always really excites me. In places like Orange County, like where you're saying there's not a ton of music and not a huge music scene, when you find those people who are really, really trying to like do it, Yeah. It's like, I feel like that in the Bay Area a lot of the times. I mean, because where I'm from in the Bay Area, like in the East Bay Area, there's not a lot. And it's like whenever I found somebody that was like really going for it, it was like, wow, this is like the coolest shit to me, because it's like they're from where I'm from, and they really, really want to do this,
No, there's a certain energy to it, and the energy is even heightened when there's no one else around doing it, then you find that one person that like, oh, you are doing, like, you're in the same situation, like, you're looking for people too, like, it just heightens it even more, because like you guys have both been like dealing, with the situation where there's not a lot of access to people, and you find it, and you can kind of have like a bigger connection off the bat. But yeah, I just think it's cool meeting people. Like, always have an open heart, open mind to like kind of meet new people and working with new people. But it is a balance, like to kind of keep your guard up, and you do kind of have to be aware of who you don't think you would want to work with, and just kind of be aware of those signs. But like we said, you do have to look for it, but it's nothing too crazy.
This is like maybe a projecting question, but as you've like gotten more into the music industry and like became more and more of like music became like a bigger part of your life, have you struggled to like do stuff outside of music? And specifically, like, I think where I'm going with this, because it relates, is like meet people like outside of music, like just make like traditional friends, because that's one thing I've been trying to get better at, because I feel like I'm just around so many music people that like all my friends are in music, and like I mean that's cool, whatever, but it's like that's not really what I want, like, because I feel like there's needs to be a certain degree of separation. Do you feel like it's been harder to make friends outside of music since you started making so many friends in music?
It's different having, I mean, just my life is like just super separated. Like I have this music world that like I've tapped into. And then I have my work life that is like completely separate. And like people at work don't even know that like I make music, a lot of them.
Key, dude. I think that's amazing.
And I love it because it's like I want the separation. Like I think it helps with the music when you're not all music. Like I need to have struggle at work, struggle at school, or like just struggle in like outside things to bring into the music. Like I don't want to be, this might be a hot take, but like musicians that are like just musicians, like I can't connect too much with their music. Like I think it's important to kind of have outside struggle and like just kind of real life, you know, problems and issues to kind of bring back into the music. And, you know, I think if you are all music all the time, I think it's very easy to kind of lose touch, because it is a crazy, like, fantasy world, like this music stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it is insane, and it's like, and you can get engulfed in it and just kind of have it fully consume your mind. And I think it's important to have outside relationships and outside just things to do for you. Like, even if it's not work. Like, let's say, like, you make it in music, like you don't have to work anymore. Like I think it's super important to like just find something that is outside of it that can kind of just give you some sort of struggle, or like just some sort of thing that can take your mind off the music. And, you know, so as far as friends, like I haven't had my circle's always been tight. Like I've always known a lot of people, but like people to actually like consider them friends, like it's been a very few amount. And I have found them at work, and I have found them since making music, and they're nothing but supportive of the music. Like it's just when you find good people, like you find good people. Like, you know, and some of the friends that like I'm thinking about right now that like were at work, like while I was making music, like I wasn't looking to make friends, but it's like they're just good people, and we just kind of, you know, started linking up, and they're just good people. So like you always have good interactions, and it's like they're just in your life now. Like I feel like that's how friends happen. Like,
isn't that a weird concept, like looking for friends? Like I didn't think I had to do that until recently. Like I felt like my entire life I was always like, oh, like friends just come. Like I don't really think that's the truth anymore. Like I kind of feel like there's nothing wrong with like actively looking for friends, or actively looking for like more people to like be in your circle and kind of like interact with, you know? Because I felt like, you know, like for kind of what I was saying, for a long time it was like I had such a abundance of friends, and then it's like I feel like now everybody I ever talked to is like in music, and that's beautiful in a lot of ways, you know? Like I love, like obviously I love music, obviously I love being around everything 24/7, but it's like fuck, man, like sometimes I just want to like be a human being, you know what I mean?
You need some outside friends.
Sometimes
you need to go join like
a
tennis club or something. You
or
guys
like
should get into something obscure,
or
like
a basketball rec league.
Yeah, bro.
I'm trying
Hit
to
the
hoop,
YMCA.
Bro.
Hit the YMCA, man.
You played in high school?
Yeah. I played in high school, and then college for a little bit, and then I switched over to football in college. So I did both.
Let's talk about that a little bit too, because I was interested in that when you said you're still in school. How is like the school / music / I mean, you also said you work full time or like part time, right? Part time. But how has like the balance of those three things been for you?
Difficult, but like beautiful. Like I wouldn't want it any other way. Like
really?
I probably could drop out of school now, like if I wanted to, just because like because I'm studying philosophy. Like that shit it's not going to connect me to a job. Like it's so there's no point, and it's like, and I already have like a cool job that I like, so it's like I'm truly just doing school because I enjoy it. Like I enjoy the classes that I take, and I enjoy what I study. Work, I enjoy being there. Like I obviously need money, like, but I also enjoy the work that I'm doing, and I enjoy the music. So like it is kind of hard to balance sometimes, but I really like kind of where I'm at with all three of them. I like having three different me's like that I can tap into. Like there is work Corey that like doesn't have to worry too much about the music, or school Corey. There's school Corey that doesn't have to worry about like the work, and I think that's just kind of how I trying to think of the word, but that's just how I like separate my life into like different areas. And yeah, I don't do sports anymore. So I stopped doing sports when I left junior college, Orange Coast. So now at Long Beach, like I just do school. And music has I've transferred over like kind of the competitive energy and like just kind of drive from that over to music. So it's like music is kind of where I take that out on now.
What has made you want to be a philosophy major? Like, how did you get interested in that? Why did you want to do that?
Oh, it's just fun to learn about. And
are you a big reader?
For things that I like, yeah. I enjoy reading, and I enjoy like English and writing more so than I wasn't a bad student, but it's like I definitely think I'm better at like kind of those sort of things rather than like science or math. Like I was all right at everything, but philosophy for me, it's like, because we were talking about like, and I've had someone actually just recently like. And it's always like the older people at work when they like ask like what you're doing. I'm like, oh, I'm studying philosophy.
How was the little music thing?
Yeah. Oh my god. Gotten that way too many times. That's a trigger right there. But like with the school stuff, like I told someone that I was majoring in that, and they're like, oh, and like what are you gonna do with that? Like what?
That's such like a pointed question. Like, why don't they just say that they think you're not going to do anything with it? Like,
yeah, no, exactly. And
like it's so pointed.
I told the person, I'm like, name a college degree like that would answer that question and connect to a job right now. And they're like, yeah, they kind of knew that I knew that it was kind of like a pointed question, and they're obviously they're not someone that I don't like, so they're like, oh, like yeah, that's a good point. So. But philosophy, like, it's something that I think it does add value to my life. Like, it is stuff that I do enjoy reading about. Like, I'm a musician. Like, obviously, like, I've got a lot going in my head. Like, there's a lot bouncing around, and philosophy is just one of those things where it's like they try to answer it, and it's all the unanswerable questions. And I think just stuff that I've been trying to figure out, like, as a young kid and everything, and growing up, and it's just cool to learn about. And yeah, just with my degree, I wanted to get it in something that I would want to be able to finish, and just this is that. And it's been easy to kind of just get through just because I enjoy it. Like, it is time you have to put into it, but I enjoy doing the reading. So Are you a big reader?
I honestly used to read so much, and I feel like since I moved to LA, I've gotten so bad at it, but I still do read. I really wish I read more at this point in my life. I used to be so good about it, man. But
I have to be told to read something. So that's why I like it with school. Like, I have to, I have to read this. Like, if I'm not in school, like, my semester ended, I'm not reading anything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not touching a book for, like, the whole summer. So, yeah, I definitely do have to be pointed at and be like, oh, go read.
What's your commute from Orange County to Long Beach like?
It's like
how far is that?
It's like 45 minutes.
Oh, how often you go?
I gotta leave. Well, last semester I was smart, and like I did like 3 classes online.
Yeah.
And I just had 1 on campus. It was like Tuesday, Thursdays, so like twice a week. But it's like we gotta leave. Me and my sister go to Long Beach, and we have to leave like 2 hours before like our class.
Jesus.
And then you just spend all day up there, and then head back down.
That's brutal. Damn, bro. I respect the grind of like having those big 3 like priorities. I think it's something that like, a lot of people struggle to do. I struggled with it.
You need to find something. Hit the YMCA.
Well, no. I'm saying I struggled like working a job and then also like doing above the bridge and then also going to school. Like, that was really difficult for me.
It's a lot.
Yeah, man.
It's a lot.
But that's awesome that you found something that you're genuinely interested in, that you can like go to school every day and be excited to study,
Yeah, I think it helps. If it was like something that I wasn't into, I would not be doing well at it.
You think you'd be out of school then?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. No, well, I don't know about that, because it's like, I think my parents want me to finish, and like I've had that pressure. I think that is the reason why I'm staying in. Like if it was like up to me, I'm not sure if I would be.
Yeah.
But I think I want to. I think that's why I'm in it. So I don't know.
100%. Was there a point when you were kind of making music, like when you were first coming up, where you like hit a certain goal or like did a certain song or like reach a certain point where it was really a turning point and you felt like you began to like get a lot of traction and kind of get to a point where you were like, you know, gaining traction, gaining momentum? Like, what do you think the biggest turning point so far has been?
It's been super slow. It's been a super slow build. Like it's been a build and it's like, and it has been kind of like going up, but it's been super slow. So yeah, I can't think of like a moment where like things kind of felt real. Like doing the show for the first time was super cool. But other than that, it's just been kind of like a gradual build. And I think just one of the turning points is seeing that like the monthly listeners, like they don't go away. Like
yeah,
they get there and then like they're sticking around. Like, cause there were some points like in the
you drop
music,
and they spike and then
yeah, exactly. And it's like, and like they stick around. So it's like, that just kind of feels cool. Like just kind of having a base that I know will listen. But still like not happy. Like me and Colton were like talking about it, like, cause the spot that we're at now, like it's doing like 10K a month, like streams. If you told me that like 2 years ago, like I would have been freaking out. Like,
yeah.
And it just kind of has happened so slowly. Like we want to have more. Like we want to kind of reach out to more people. And we know that like 10K a month is like not anything crazy. Like it's not anything in the industry to get excited about. But like,
but it is something to be proud of, man.
It's cool. Yeah. Like and
think
just
about what you just said. You earlier, like 30 minutes ago, you were like, you know, if you have 500 monthlies on Spotify, you're above 99% of people. You're probably in front of like 99.99% of people.
I know that. I'm a conflicted man.
You know,
happiness is it's crazy.
Dude,
can you be happy? What spot are you going to be content with where this thing's at?
I literally wrote about this for like 2 hours today, actually.
Yeah, you were just talking to me about like it's super hard. Like
it's the human condition, man.
It
is the most difficult. It is, and I'm glad you brought it up. It is genuinely the most like, probably for me, it's like been the biggest struggle like mentally in my life, like being able to learn to be happy and satisfied with what I've created, because I feel I hate everything I make. I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's like, how does one
super critical?
Yeah, like how does one get to a point where you're satisfied? And it's like, I don't think that comes from external validation. I don't think that comes from like even loving the things that you create. I think that comes from within. That's one thing that I've begun to really learn. I think the whole like, I mean, this was something that I suffered from, and I think like I was in a mindset of for a long time, but it's like the whole then I'll be happy mindset is like entirely bullshit in my eyes. Like the whole like, once I get to 20K monthlies, then I'll be happy. Yeah. Once I can quit my job and make a living off this, then I'll be happy. Once I do this or reach this number or reach this goal, then I'll be happy. Yeah. That's bullshit. Like,
well, you can keep telling yourself that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a nice way to keep going and like meet goals, but like,
it's
as
like,
long as you know in your
what?
head, it's not gonna make you.
But it's like, for what?
Yeah.
Like, would you rather?
Well, then what's the point of doing like anything?
To make yourself happy. I think you got to find what makes you happy. I don't think that thing can be the thing that's like I don't think a metric should dictate your happiness. I think you have to find what within you makes you happy. You have to find what about your life brings you joy, what things in your life truly make you fulfilled, and just harness them and do them every single day.
But each one of those things you're going to have goals for.
Yeah.
Like, that's a human condition, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you cannot stay stagnant in one spot with, like, something that you care about for 50 years. Like, you would go insane. Like, you need to have goals. And, like, I think to keep it going. Do you not 100%. Agree?
No, well, here's the thing, right? It's so funny that you say that, because this is, like, that was 100% like my mindset for like the vast majority of my life. And I still think that it is my mindset to a degree. I think like a lot of happiness and like I think a lot of validation comes from like that process of moving forward. It comes from like waking up every single day with a goal. I think that's super important. But I also do think it can get to a really, really unhealthy point when your success is the only thing that brings you fulfillment in life.
Of course.
I think when success is defined by like external metrics, it becomes like really, really dangerous when it's like, I want to make art and the only metric at which my art matters is how many people are viewing it. And it's like, if that number isn't high enough, I'm not going to be happy. Yeah. I think that's a really dangerous spot to get in, because that is like fully tying yourself to the success of your art and the success of your art by only one metric. That's really niche.
Yeah.
Like, it's really rare that you're going to be truly happy if you're judging success and judging happiness by that metric. So, like, that was where I was for a long time in my life. Like the vast majority of my life. And I'm trying to move to a place and get better about it, where it's like I can learn to relax a little bit more. Like, I can learn to, like, just make things that I'm happy with. I think contentment with the present moment is true happiness. I think it's all about balance, right? I think it's all about balance. You know, like, I think you got to have that mindset to succeed. You got to want to, like, you got to have goals, of course, right? But that can't be the only thing. It's like you got to have you got to have a resemblance of balance where, like, you can wake up every single day and you can try for something, but if life gets in the way or something doesn't go exactly how it's planned, you're not going to be miserable, because you can still be proud of the fact that you did that. And you know, once you've done all that work for the day, you can go home and spend time with people that you love. You can go share a meal with your friends. You can go give your friends a hug. Yeah. You know, it's like you can be a human being. Yeah. Like, that was something that I think I didn't realize for a long time in my life. Like, I wasn't being a human being. So I'm making more of a conserved effort to try to be a human being. And I think it's all about balance, of course. But it's like, you got to find that balance between, like, having a burning desire to succeed and then also, like, having a burning desire to be happy. Because why do we want to succeed? Like, why do you want to succeed?
I think it's programmed into us. Like, humans are like, we chase goals. Like, I think that's what makes us happy. I think I completely agree with you that it's not gonna make you happy, and there isn't happiness in. I don't think happiness is like a real thing. Like, you can, especially when it comes to, like, goals and setting your goals. Like, I completely agree with you that it's reaching a certain metric, you're not going to find it there. Yeah. You're not going to find it there. I think setting goals is just important to, like, keep you doing what you love in a certain direction. And I think that's one way to get it, but you need to also, you need to have, like, kind of the people around you that matter. Like, you're not going to find the happiness you find in the people that you have around you with anything else. Like, what you have around you is never going to even closely compare to, like, the work you're doing or, like, any kind of metric you're chasing.
But I think the work's got to make you happy. I think that was, like, where I struggled too for so long. I was like, because there was a crossroads where I was serious. I was very much like, why am I doing this? And I think I realized I was like, I'm doing this because it makes me happy. Mm-hmm. And that I think that should be the goal. I think finding the one thing that you would do for free your entire life should be the goal. Yeah. You know, where I think this ties in very, like, very specifically to my life, I think, too, is like, for me, it was like, I was waking up every day, right? Like, when I was in school and I was doing something that, like, wasn't getting me closer to a life that I wanted to live. Mm-hmm. And that was the ultimate deterrent for me wanting to leave school, was I felt like I was doing something that was getting me further from what my entire goal was, which was a scary feeling, which was to be happy. I think everybody's goal, right? Like, dude, like, when you're in high school, right? If I asked you, like, what is your, like, one goal in life? You could have control over one emotion for the entirety of the rest of your life. What would it be? I think 9 out of 10 people would say happiness. Yeah. So it's like the only.
Is it real?
Will you find it? But that's the thing. I think that should be the goal. I think that should be the only thing, like, that's pushing us towards, like, the majority of decisions in our life. Yeah. Is, like, what makes you happy. And I think it's bullshit that, like, happiness is, like, I'm going to chill out every day and, like,
certainly
like, do nothing. That. Like, that's not happiness. Yeah. That's ridiculous. But happiness is, like, a balance between, in my opinion, I think it's, for me anyway, I think it's different for everybody. But for me, it's, like, a balance between fulfillment and contentment. And I think those two things are different. Like, I think fulfillment is waking up every day and doing things that matter to you. I think contentment is accepting that they're enough. Like I think,
Interesting.
like
Yeah.
I think that's like the biggest development in my entire life, where like my mind has like begun to like become healthier and happier. And I think like once I realized how important that balance is, I've become a lot happier. But it's so hard, dude. Like I was struggling with it today. Like I was like,
oh yeah,
I struggle with it every day, man. But it's like to be able to take that step away is, I think, so important. And I'm trying to get to a place where I'm better at it, you know?
Yeah. I think you can get close to it. I think you can do your best to get close to it. And there's definitely things in this life that you can feel happiness and content. I think content is a better word.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because happiness, I think you can have in moments, but like, yeah, I think it's so wrong that like, it's not going to be you just sitting down relaxing. Like, you're never going to get to a point where it's like, you're like, oh, I reached all my goals. Like, let's kick back.
Let's kick it. Yeah. No.
Like, no, you will be miserable on day 4 of that.
Yeah.
You might have a solid good 3 days.
Yeah, it's good to have a day off. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just interesting. It's weird being a human. There's a lot of things you got to think about. There's a lot of things to think about and like figure out in a very short amount of time that you're here. Like, it is crazy.
A funny thing for me is like, I've asked other musicians this question before, and this was where I think my mind really started to change. If I gave you 25 million monthly listeners right now, this moment, would you be happier?
I would have much rather earned them. If you were given,
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, not much would feel different.
Now imagine if 5 years from today you have 25 million listeners, but to get there you had the most intense, life-changing, mind-altering journey that you could even imagine. You've been tested in like every regard possible. Yeah. You've had to fight through all these different hardships. You've learned that like what really matters to you is music, right? You've had this 5-year journey where like all of this matters. It's like, do you think you'd be happier then?
I think I'd have a big smile on my face.
Yeah.
I think that's much better. And I think, going through life like that, like, one thing that I've had to kind of like really figure out is how to handle myself like in the disappointing moments, like when things don't go the way that you want to, like, because I'm super hard on myself, like, and obviously like with the background in sports, like very competitive, like I just. So when things don't go my way, like I'm very self-critical and very like I'm super bummed out when things don't go well. And I think kind of being able to stay, even keel through those moments. It's like I try not to let myself get too happy like with any, like cool successes. I don't let myself get too upset like when things like go super bad. I think the best thing you can do is just kind of find the messages in the things that went wrong. Like if it's not anything too crazy, like I think you can learn a lot more with the things that don't go your way. And I've had a super hard time finding that out because it's like I don't like those moments, but it's like when you find yourself in those moments, like if you really like kind of just sit back and analyze it, like it takes time. Like I think a super important thing is just kind of sitting back and really thinking about how you feel. Like that's what I've had a super hard time with recently, because these things, like it's super hard, like to actually put aside time to like actually sit and think with yourself. Like, because the phones are just like so distracting, and it's like it's that instant dopamine of just like whenever you need it, whenever you feel bad. And I have felt that build up before. So I think I've gotten better with just kind of when anything doesn't go well, like it didn't really not go well. Just like look for why it was important for your journey for this to happen.
Yeah. I was talking to, that's so funny you bring this up. I think Mario definitely knows the day I'm talking about. I think a couple of weeks ago I had one of the most frustrating days I've ever had as a creative. Really? It was like, we were shooting a lab. I'll just speak on it, whatever. But we were shooting a live session with Illusion Hills, and that day I think literally everything that went wrong went wrong.
Shit. It was like a live session, like
like a live performance video, and I think everything technically that went wrong, and I was so fucking just like irritated, man. Like it was like I just felt so defeated that day, like so defeated. And then, like, I mean, dude, like, thankfully I was like with all those dudes because they're so like supportive and upbeat. Like,
super good guys.
Shout out to them. I love all those people. But
so MJ didn't yell at you?
MJ is the sweetest. The idea of MJ yelling at somebody.
MJ. Get on his ass. Get on his ass.
The idea, like the visual of MJ yelling at somebody, I just can't even like imagine that.
Yeah.
But he's a sweetheart. But I went to work that day, and I've been after I know. So I had work at 4 that day, so I went to work, and I was talking to this buster, and we were just talking, and I've started doing this thing at work that I like it a lot. It's very fun. What I do is I'm a server, and we take our order sheets. We have paper order sheets, right?
Yeah.
And they're like in a big packet or whatever. Mm-hmm. Not a packet, but I guess like sticky notes come like in a little pile like that.
Like a little pull off.
Yeah, one of those things. Gotcha. So I've been doing this thing recently, like when I'm, I'm waiting for my tables or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm just, there's down moments when you're a server. I've been taking it. I've just been like writing on the back of like all the order sheet, just like my mindset and like what I'm thinking in the moment and like where I am in that place and like just trying to be present. Just writing about like what I'm thinking about, things I'm thinking about, whatever. Just writing. And I was doing that the other day, and like after this live session, and one of the busters saw me. He came up to me. He's like, "What are you writing about?" And I was writing about like just how that felt like that day everything had gone wrong, right? And he came up to me, and I just explained to him what happened. And why I was frustrating. He was like, "Hey man, well, you took an L, but you know what the first letter of lesson is?
Bars."
L. And I was like, bars, Danny. Bars. Shout out to Danny.
Danny knows.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But I was like, damn, that's hella true. Like it's silly, but it's so true, man. Like you take every loss and everything you fuck up on, dude. Like you can take at least one thing from that you can do better.
You should.
Yeah, you should. 100%.
Otherwise, why did it happen?
What was the point?
Yeah,
exactly. And it's like, dude, if you mess up 10,000 times and you learn 10,000 lessons, you're indestructible.
Yeah.
What do you think was like? Is there a moment? And that is a depressing question. I'm sorry, but is there like a moment where you musically have hit like a really, really big low, or like had to really bounce back from something, or been like very uninspired? And then how did you kind of bounce back from that moment, or like learn to like overcome those kind of hardships? And like what are some of the big, I guess a better way to phrase the question is, what do you think is the biggest thing you've learned musically since you started?
Well, the biggest out we spoke about that happened just this week.
Uh-huh.
So we're bouncing back from that, and we've learned a lot from that. But kind of before that, nothing too crazy, because it's been a slow build. Like it's been a super healthy environment. Like I think that's why we've kept going. As far as L's, like maybe releases that didn't do as well as we wanted to, or like a collaboration that didn't go as well as we wanted to. And obviously when I was first releasing things, like I was so naive. I'm still naive. Like I still feel like I know very, very little about the music industry. But like, I would have, when I had like 500 monthly listeners, like I would have a collab from like a super sick artist, who had like maybe like 20K monthly listeners. And I'm like, this is it. Like,
I'm up.
This is it.
We're out of here.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yeah, we're out of here. I'm like, Mom, Dad, I'm like, hey, don't worry about rent this month. You're good.
Guys,
like, everything's
don't
fine.
trip.
Don't trip. I got it. Dinner's on me tonight.
I'm
like,
about to park the Bentley outside.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
It's good.
And
I'll have my driver pick you up.
Yeah, exactly. And then the song will do like it would do like 8,000 streams, and you were expecting 30 million.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't go that way. And part of that is just being naive and silly. And it's like anyone else should have predicted that it wasn't going to go that well. But like, I was just so excited and naive. And so it's like, I had to deal with like those moments where I'm like, oh, like it's not on the Billboard charts right now. Like, that's crazy. How did that not happen?
Yeah.
But that's just like naive, like stupid stuff. And then once you're kind of like more experienced in it, like you kind of understand those. And it's like, there are lessons in that, and you can kind of build yourself up from those moments. But like then once you're like a year into it and look back on those moments, like it's just like silly. Like there's
that,
not a whole lot you feel like you learned from those moments other than like you were just naive. But so yeah, I haven't had anything like crazy tragic happen. We'll see if it happens pretty soon here, but I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a super healthy community so far. So no complaints,
That's
no tragedies in the music just yet. And yeah, hopefully we can keep it that way. Just like a slow build of like, little successes, no drama, and then everything's good. Yeah.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I wish I feel like I've taken so many gigantic L's. I was actually just writing about this like recently.
Really?
Just about like the biggest like L's I've taken. But also those have been like the biggest learning experiences of like what I've done creatively.
Was there a big L that brought you out here? That you were like...
That brought me out here?
Yeah, just, the Bay did this to me.
Hell no.
Did you ever blame anything on the Bay?
Never. I love the Bay Area. The Bay Area is... I would never blame anything. I think it's the only reason I am who I am.
It seems like a super cool spot.
Dude, it's amazing, yeah.
But obviously a big change was needed, like, for you guys to, like, show up here. Like, what kind of made you guys realize, okay, this is where we need to be?
I think in the Bay Area there's a number of scenes that have gone bigger, but I think like there is 100% a ceiling. As much as I love that place, I think especially in the music media world where like the name of the game is like connecting with musicians that like have meaningful stories, and that exists in folds in the Bay Area. Yeah. But I just think here it exists like in a way that nowhere else has. It's almost like the way I think of it is like LA is like a city of immigrants. It's a city of like other creatives from different parts of the country or different countries that have come here all in one place to divulge. And if our goal is to tell stories, why would we not want to be in the place with the most stories? Yeah. It's also like another way I think about it is like in the Bay Area, and I've met so many amazing artists in the Bay Area, but it's like I think that in LA, even like to have the ambition to move to LA, you gotta like take your art like 8 out of 10 on like the level of like how serious you take it, right? Yeah. It's like in the Bay Area, everybody I was like working with is like from the Bay Area, and there's nothing wrong with that, of course. But it's like a lot of those people like they maybe aren't taking their artists seriously. Yeah, they're rolling at like a 6. Yeah, which is nothing wrong with it at all. But it's just like here I feel like on like per capita, people take their stuff a lot more seriously, so it's a much more like I think productive environment to be in. And I also feel like I've just been so lucky to like experience the culture that is here in terms of like how many different kinds of people there are here, and there's some bad that comes with that. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, dude, one like you can show in LA you want, but like one thing LA has in spades is diversity. Yeah, which is like
people, whole lot of different people too.
The coolest thing to me. Like I love the experience of like rolling with the highs or like going with the lows, just like kind of experiencing all that there is in this giant conglomerate to experience. And that's kind of what brought me here in a lot of ways. But I mean, that was all, but I mean, that's the weird Dante, like metaphorical brain part of it. The more logistical brain part of it is I wanted a studio.
Here you are.
And here I am.
Here you are.
Yeah. This was like something I really wanted, needed, and definitely has worked out very well in spades.
Oh yeah.
But
the algorithm brought us together.
Shout out the algorithm. Right, I love when that happens. I love when people tell me like, oh, like your shit popped up on my feed. I'm like, wow, we're doing something right. It's not all, you are. It's not all thrown into the void. Yeah. That's always a scary thought. I mean, like, you have you ever thought about that? Like, you're making art and just throwing into the void, and you don't know if it's actually being perceived by anybody.
Yep.
It's weird, man. It's weird.
Especially for how big like the internet makes the void feel. Like the void is bigger than ever. Like it's a bigger void than it ever has been. But if you like it, you gotta put it out. Put it out into the void. Like that's the only answer. You can't think about the void too much.
No, yeah, of course. Yeah. Last question. What is one word of advice that you would give somebody who's like starting music tomorrow? Like if you were to tell them one thing, like one word of advice, what would it be?
Find your people. Find people to do it with. It'll make it so much easier. Don't do it by yourself. I think it's important to kind of be by yourself to make the music, like be in touch with yourself, like as it's happening. But yeah, have people around you that can help you, because it's super hard. Like, it's super hard to do. And it's like, and if you want to do everything the right way, like, there's so much that goes into it that I was naive to, like, to be able to make the music, to market it, to manage, to understand, like, just kind of splits, distribution. Like, it's a whole lot. And, you know, to just kind of feel that weight on your shoulders as you're making it by yourself, it's a lot. Yeah. And it's like and it's really not crazy hard, but like, if you're by yourself and have to think about that, like, that's a huge weight, and that'll stop you from like doing stuff. Like, that's the anxiety, I think, that will make people stop releasing stuff. But like, seriously, just like a few good people around you that like can push you, like, it helps a lot. Like, it helps a lot, and you will grow with it. Like, it's super nice to, like, once again, I'll talk about Colton. He says he has said things about like my music, or I send him a file that I hate so much. I'm like, I hate you for saying that. Like, that, like, why would you say that? That's like the one thing I didn't want you to say. Or he'll just like kind of nitpick things where I'm like, oh, like, you weren't supposed to be looking for that. You're supposed to be looking for this. Like, why did you not? And it's just nice to hear that outside perspective. And it, you know, once I get over the ego of it, I'm like,
it's like honest.
Oh, he's fucking right. Like,
yeah,
right, like, let's do it. Like, and then, you know, I get to shape and bend, you know, towards that direction. And yeah, I think that's the theme for me, is just like, have people around you, like, and it'll help so much.
Hell
Don't be
man.
alone.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Life's better with people to share it with.
Yeah, it is.
100%.
Yeah, it is.
Lunar949.
Yeah. Are we done?
We're done, man. We out of here.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all.
Tell them where they could stream you, where they could follow you.
Oh, all
the plugs.
All platforms. Yeah, and then Instagram is Corey Oriori. I'm sure it'll be under here. But yeah, tap into this guy. Give the like on the algorithm. The algorithm, it's gonna be boosted.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Pretty soon.
All right. Hell yeah.
All
Music
right,
matters.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.